All right, time to get my brackets in. Now, I've already filled out a few of these, but for the sake of this video, I'll keep it as true to my original thoughts as possible and not just start picking other teams for the sake of my, doing something different than what I did on my previous brackets. All right. And I'm going to go in order of seeds instead of going through the regions individually. I'm going to start with UCLA versus whoever they end up facing here. I'm going with UCLA. South Carolina over Tennessee Tech for sure. Texas over whoever they end up playing there, and Southern California over UNC, Greensboro. No question there. I'm not expecting any 116 upsets. Same with the 215 matchups. I'm going to take NC State over Vermont. I'm going to take Duke over Lehigh, TCU over FDU, and UConn advances at home. Not expecting anything to get cute there. Now, the 3 seeds, I'm taking LSU over San Diego State. Look, you guys might as well pull out the chalk because a lot of this is going chalk in my opinion. I know the field is wide open, and so the narrative is that we should see more upsets this year than we normally do. I don't think it's going to get that crazy, honestly. I'm going to take North Carolina over Oregon State here. I'm going to go with Notre Dame, and I'm going to go with Oklahoma. So far, so chalk, right? Kentucky over Liberty. Now, if you guys have watched any of my AP Top 25s, you know I'm really high on Kentucky. They're a really up and down team, though, but I'm expecting them to for sure advance in that first round. Baylor versus Grand Canyon. This is one that I'm seeing a lot of people pick the upset on. Well, the few that I've watched. Seeing Grand Canyon get picked a lot, but I'm going to stick with Arnett Von Lay. I think they have what it takes to advance. Same with Maryland and Norfolk State. I'm going to pick Maryland in that one, even though Cheyenne Sellers has been beat up a lot lately. I think they can get past Norfolk State with Kayleen Smichael and everybody else, as long as Cheyenne Sellers at least shows up. Ohio State versus Montana State. I'm going to go with Ohio on this one. It hardly seems right. There has to be an upset somewhere in there, right? Maybe one's coming up soon, you guys. Alabama versus Green Bay. I'm going with Alabama. We're not going to play any games. I believe in Sarah Ashley Barker and what she's done all season long. Ole Miss versus Ball State. This is where my first upset arrives. Ball State over Ole Miss. It's not that I don't believe in KK Deans and company, but I'm going to go with Ball State regardless. I just down. Kansas State versus Fairfield. Now, this is where I've seen a lot of people predicting an upset coming, but I'm going to stick with Ayoka Lee, Serena Sundell, Glenn. They have a really nice team, especially with Lee supposedly being healthy. We'll see if she's actually healthy, but for now, I'm going to go with Kansas State, and I'll take Tennessee over South Florida. Florida State over George Mason for sure. For sure. Tanaya Latson, Timpson, Bowles, the whole squad. Now, this West Virginia, I'm expecting them to face Washington, Sylvia Sellers and company. That could get interesting. It could get damn interesting, to be honest with you. I'm sticking with JJ Quinterly. Michigan versus Iowa State. Iowa State is another team that could potentially pull off an upset there at the 6-11 spot. There's a lot of potential for upsets in these 6-11 matchups, to be honest with you. Murray State, #1 scoring offense in the country, going up against Iowa. I'm going to stick with Michigan on this one. Even though I know Audie Crooks is a lot for any team to deal with, I'm going to stick with Swords, with Olsen, with Hobbs, and everybody else. And honestly, I'm going to go ahead and pick Iowa. I think they get it done. I've liked what I've seen lately from Lucy Olsen and company. I like what they showed in the Big Ten tournament. I mean, they didn't really advance too far, but I like what they showed. I'm going to stick with Iowa on that one. All right, Oklahoma State versus South Dakota State. Another upset. I'm taking the Jackrabbits in this one. I've spoken highly about them on a few occasions this season, so I'll be crazy to pick against them now. Harvard versus Michigan State. This is one I've seen a lot of people taking the upset on. Harmony Turner, she is on a roll. But I've seen Michigan State playing a lot of my favorite teams really tough. Julia Irod, Grace Van Sluten. I'm gonna go with my Big Ten girls on that one. Vanderbilt versus Oregon. I'm really tempted to pick Oregon just because Vanderbilt has so much young leadership in Camille Pierre and Michaela Blakes, but they're young and dynamic. So I'm gonna go with them. Nebraska's a really tough team. I don't think Louisville will get upset 2 years in a row. I just don't. I don't see it happening. I do see it happening, but I'm not gonna pick it to happen. I'm going with Louisville in this one. You guys can let me know down below if you agree in the comments. I'm taking Louisville. Now, I've seen a lot of people taking Creighton, and that's not a horrible pick in my opinion. I think Creighton can get it done with their shooting, but Illinois it is for me. As much as I like Indiana, do I take Utah? Let me come back to that one. Let me come back to that one. Georgia Tech versus Richmond. I like Georgia Tech more in this one, but Danny Carnegie hasn't really shown up much at all lately. They're not the same team without her coming off the bench and giving them that punch that she did early in the season. So I'm going to go with Richmond in that one. I'm going to take Cal over Mississippi State. And I guess I couldn't run forever, huh? I'm taking Indiana over Utah. And that's hard. That's hard for me to do. I really think Utah should pull it out, but I think Indiana will pull it out. All right. On to the next round. And again, no suspense. South Carolina, UCLA. Coach G beats her former team at Cal, or in Cal, I should say. And I'm going to go with Texas to beat Illinois. No question, in my opinion. South Dakota State, really tough team. I'm riding with UConn. I think TCU, Haley Van Lith beats her former team in Louisville. They be trying to make that matchup happen. It finally happens this year. Vanderbilt's really good. I'm going to go with that defense from Duke. I trust them to get it done. And I don't see Michigan State beating NC State right now. NC State, they're playing on another level. So no upset there in my opinion. 3-6 matchups. Let's slide over to this other side before I look at Florida State LSU. That game, that's a coin toss game in my opinion. Now, like I've said so many times, I'm not huge on North Carolina. You can go back and watch all of my AP Top 25s from this season. And I've said it repeatedly, I'm not really big on North Carolina. So I'm going to pick West Virginia on that one. Michigan, Notre Dame. Notre Dame has looked down lately. They really have. The way Olsen posts up, the way she gets her buckets, sword, she can go for 30 on any given night. Holloway is slept on. As bad as Notre Dame's looked lately, I think they'll put it together. They have a lot of senior leadership on that team, so I'm going to go with them. As much as I like Iowa, I'm going to take Oklahoma to get it done here just because they've been more consistent all season long. Even though I'm not going to talk myself into it, I'm going to take Oklahoma there. Kansas State versus Kentucky. Kentucky's been really up and down all season long. I think they're more dynamic than Kansas State. If Ayoka Lee is healthy, though, and this is crazy because I've done nothing but talk Kentucky up all season long, and maybe it's because I see too many people picking them to win this matchup, and maybe they're right. They have that depth, they have that size, scoring at all 5 positions. Yeah, I've talked myself into it. I'm not taking Kansas State in that one. I'm gonna go with Kentucky in that one. Um, LSU, I don't trust their health. I just don't trust their health. They've been in these walking boots. They don't really have any interior defense. I'm going with Florida State in that one. I'm taking the upset there. And I'm taking Baylor to beat Ball State. Pretty much nobody is picking Maryland in this 4 or 5 matchup. And as much as I like to go against the grain, I'm not picking them either. It's just The last time I've seen Sellers and all season long, she's been banged up. I can't trust it. I just can't trust it. Alabama, they've shown something. I'm all for the Big Ten. I'm a Big Ten guy. But no, I can't do it. I will take the Big Ten in this Big Ten versus SEC matchup, though. I'm going to go with Ohio State, even though I don't have a huge amount of faith in them right now. They don't play really well against sides, but Tennessee isn't that dominant down low to where I think Ohio State shouldn't be able to come out with the win. Now, UCLA, they get the win over Baylor. NC State, I'm going to pick them over Florida State. I'm going to take South Carolina there. I'm going to go ahead and take Duke there. I'm going to take Texas there. Come on, there we go. This is going to be tough, Notre Dame. It's going to be tough for Notre Dame to beat TCU in this one. But I got to go with Hannah Hidalgo. I've got to go with Olivia Miles and Citron. I think hopefully King looks like her normal self in this tournament. If she looks like we saw in the most recent game, she was bad. She only played 17 points. 17 minutes. I don't know if something was wrong with her physically or if just her game was off. But if King is there and healthy and doing right, I'm going to take Notre Dame. But ever since Maddie Westbeld has come back and they've gone away from some of their bigger bigs like Koval, even though she's younger, she's more of a defensive big than Maddie Westbeld is. Yes, Westbeld stretches the floor, but we're talking about 7, 8 points a game right now. So that's tough, man. That's tough. The Prince is a lot to deal with. I'm taking TCU. I'm sorry. Sorry, Notre Dame. I'm taking TCU in that one. You guys haven't looked good. You have a lot of guard depth, but I'm going to go with what I know. And I know size shows up every single game. I'm taking UConn in this one. I hate that Kentucky and South California have to play right now. Southern California, USC. Let me just call them what they are, USC. I hate the fact that they have to play right now. Two of my favorite teams, but I'm rolling with USC in that one. All right. Dawn and company gets the win over Duke. I believe in you. Do I believe in UCLA in this? I'll come back to that one. I'll come back to that one. I'm gonna take Texas over TCU. I'm pretty sure everybody in Texas is gonna love that game if it comes to fruition. A lot of people are picking UConn here. I'm not a lot of people. I'm taking USC in this one. No explanation needed. I'm taking USC in this one. This is the one where it gets tricky for me. It gets tricky for me with UCLA versus NC State because they have the guard depth to get it done. Do I think that Tilda Trigger can defend Lauren Betts? Not really. I don't. But she can extend the floor. She can hit a couple of threes. She can match a lot of points because it's not like Betts is like, she's dominant, but she doesn't necessarily have a lot of volume with that dominance to where she's going to hit you for 30, 35. She's going to be really efficient on her way to 22 points. So, do I think NC State has enough scoring to compete with that and can beat UCLA in the other positions? I do. I honestly do. I honestly do. And I don't think we see UCLA versus Southern California again. I think we avoid seeing that matchup for a fourth time. I do. I really do. Am I sure? Am I certain on that? I'm going to stick with that. I'm taking USC to beat NC State. I'm taking South Carolina to beat Texas. All right. So this is my championship game. A matchup that was just announced that we'll be seeing for the next couple of seasons. USC versus SC. Conventional wisdom says to take South Carolina. If I was you, I would put my money on South Carolina. But I'm not you. And I'm going to stick with the pick that I made at the beginning of the season here. I'm taking Southern California for the win. USC gets their first championship. I know it's a bold prediction, but I didn't come here to, tell you what you wanted to hear. I'm telling you what I thought, what I've thought since the beginning of the season. All right, what's the score? It doesn't matter the score. I'm going to go 82 to 76. That's the score. Finish the bracket. You guys can let me know If you agree, if you don't, I'm pretty sure I already know how a lot of you guys think as far as South Carolina is concerned. And I mean, listen, I won't tell you that you're wrong. Let me know in the comments what you guys have. Maybe I should start a group and we can all compare our brackets. We can all be in the same group with our brackets. Maybe I'll do that. But for now, this is the bracket that I'm going with. It's a little bit different than everybody else's, I'm sure, but I'm a little bit different than everybody else. So I'll go ahead and wrap this video up. You guys let me know what you think in the comments and check you out on the next one.